Coming up next on Arizona Horizon, a look into why President Trump's poll numbers are slipping. Also tonight, how a possible super El Nino could impact Arizona's weather in the coming months. And we'll hear about the development of AI tools to help veterans fight social isolation. Those stories and more next on Arizona Horizon.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of Arizona PBS, members of your public television station.
Good evening and welcome to Arizona Horizon. I'm Ted Simons. Recent polls show that President Trump's popularity appears to be waning among some of his strongest supporters. That said, elections last night in Ohio and Indiana show that the president still has a strong hold on the Republican Party. To help explain what it all means, we welcome longtime political consultant Chuck Coughlin of High Ground. Good to see you again.
Great to be here.
All right, let's try to make some sense. First of all, his ratings are low. I mean, it's like mid-30s.
Amongst the entire
Yes.
voting demographic, yes.
But the MAGA, it sounds like the Marjorie Taylor Greens
Yeah.
and the Tucker Carlsons and such, they're not happy with him either.
Yeah, but Team Trump, the Republican typical primary voter, as it was evidenced last night in Indiana and probably will be continued to evidence in Louisiana and Kentucky and states to come here, are still, remember, Republican primary voters are 20% of your overall population. So it's a slice, the most partisan slice of that, still loving him. Still very excited.
I heard someone, I think today somewhere say, one of these analysts say that he is the single most popular president within his party on record.
I think that's probably true. I mean, today, as we've become this culture that's so divided, it's the social media culture, it's the division of what the society has divided itself, and he's the reality TV star to that segment of the electorate.
But it seems as though moderate Republicans kind of jumped ship a long time ago as far as this president is concerned. And now you got, again, the Tucker Carlsons, the Candace Owens, Alex Jones, some of these way out there folks that were so hard for him, they're now hard against him.
Right, and that's going to show up. I mean, that will leave a mark, as they say, when the general election happens this coming November. I mean, I think most people are anticipating a fairly significant slip. I've been joking that he campaigned for regime change in Iran, likely to have a regime change in Washington in this upcoming cycle.
And that's general elections, because what we saw last night is primaries are still all him.
Yeah, he's got a solid grip on your Republican primary voter, that MAGA base of voters. It's really not, I mean, what you and I thought or people thought of the Republican Party doesn't exist anymore. I mean, Jeff Flake knew that when the party left him. John McCain, God rest his soul, when he got it, as it started to slip away from him. Mitt Romney got it as it slipped. It is entirely a new party now.
Okay, so it's a new party, but again, we're seeing some of the MAGA, some of the real deep-seated supporters kind of jumping ship a little bit. And the reason, according to some of these, is his lying. They're saying that he's lying to them.
Well, I mean, he said, I'm not going to be an interventionist in foreign wars. That's not happening. I think that's disturbed a significant portion of his political base, of that group of voters that feel betrayed, that they voted for him because they didn't want to have the Iraq, the Afghanistan, the continued American involvement in foreign wars. They feel betrayed. He also said, prices are going to turn around, Ted. We're going to have the economy headed in the right direction. Well, the most evident fact of that we see today, as everybody knows, is, hey, I'm paying $5 a gallon of gas, and I'm driving down the road, and I see that every single day. The cost of diesel's up, which affects the cost of food, which affects the cost of pretty much everything else. And so everything is up.
And petroleum prices are up, and that affects plastic, which affects everything.
Yeah.
Epstein files. A lot of these hard-right folks, they're not happy with the way he's just doing whatever it is he's doing with those files.
Well, and there's all kinds of speculation. That's why we went to war in Iran, right? Because, we had a wag the dog experience here, and we continue to have that. We've gotten away from that narrative, and then it keeps popping back up on the radar screen. And so, Democrats go there. Some of his former Republican colleagues are still going there. And so it's a problem. He's having a difficult time controlling the narrative.
And yet, stock market just seems to roll right along. I mean, tariffs, lots of business people are suffering because of tariffs, and yet I don't see that as being, well, I don't know. You tell me. Is that a major factor in some
Well,
of
I
the
think with
disaffection?
the Supreme Court's decision on tariffs, people are now expecting, at least businesses, are going to expect some of that money to be back. I think the market is pricing oil as a temporary deal. As we see it every day, it fluctuates. The price of a barrel of oil is fluctuating depending on the perception of what is happening in the strait. And so, and I think they account for that. They know, I think the market, long-term market, I think long-term earnings look good. These AI companies, they're spending so much money on data centers. They're flooding the economic zone. All the chip makers are prolific. The NASDAQ keeps going up. The Magnificent Seven keeps going up. And I think the underlying thing that most market analysts see is the rest of the economy is pretty okay.
Right. Inflation is inflation's to the point where, again, the Fed is going to hold steady for a while here, core inflation especially. But that's happening, but it's not, I guess it's not a super factor. Are things like immigration, the deaths involving immigration enforcement, is that impacting, again, his base?
It's gonna impact the economy. But and Homan was here in Phoenix the other day, said we're going to have mass deportations like nobody's ever seen. We're loading up for the second 2 years of this administration, and we're going to do that. I project that, and I think others would project that's going to be harmful to the economy because we're not a breeding population anymore in the U.S., and we are reliant on foreign labor. And so it's going to be costly.
But it's going to be costly to Trump and perhaps MAGA voters, President Trump and the MAGA voters. Then the immigration deaths, the violence, and not a factor.
No, I think it is a factor that will penetrate in this fall's general election cycle.
What about this ballroom thing? It's $1 billion, not for the ballroom, but for security for the ballroom. Again, you are MAGA. This is swampy behavior.
Yeah.
But do they see it as swampy behavior?
Well, the MAGA base believes what the president says, and the president's saying, no, we need this. I think that, again, is not penetrating the larger electorate. I think many of those voters are groaning, just with, askance at what are we doing now? And I think that's going to come home to roost this November.
Okay, and that's my last question here. Bottom line, primaries, not so much, or what do you think?
Well, back to the beginning of the top of our conversation, it's 20% of Republican voters. He's got a lock on that. The bigger electorate, he's getting crushed amongst Democrats, obviously like 90-10. And he's getting crushed like 80-20 amongst unaffiliated voters, which is the swing voter in the electorate, particularly in Arizona. It depends on where those people go. And so we will see that impact in the general elections this November. And then we're going to see whether or not he agrees with those results and whether he's going to agree to go along with them.
Exactly. And I lied. This is the last question, but make it quick if you could. Democrats, are they offering anything, or are the Democratic Party still adrift?
I was at a fundraiser the other day. I was listening to Senator Kelly talk about affordability. And, that will resonate today. But the minute they get elected, that's going to be on them. The same, and the inequality that's built into our system today is creating that type of inequality. And until you address that issue, fundamentally, I think talking about affordability may be good as a contrast message with the Trump administration, but not as your own narrative for going forward.
Chuck Coughlin, High Ground, always a pleasure. Good to have you here, sir.
Great being here. Thanks.
Donate your car, truck, or boat today. And in addition to supporting the programs you love, you'll also qualify for our most popular member benefit, PBS Passport. With Passport, you can watch incredible documentaries and dramas from Masterpiece, American Experience, Ken Burns, Henry Louis Gates Jr., Nova, Nature, and more. So skip the hassle of selling that car you don't use anymore. Go online or give us a call right now to donate your vehicle. And thanks.
Yeah, so where to start of all the things?
Oh, it's like opening a present.
The team here are just incredible.
This is a cultural movement.
I feel so happy.
There is so much more.
It feels like the revolution has really begun.
For over 65 years, AARP has empowered people to choose how they live as they age. As a wise friend and fierce defender, we advocate for better health, financial security, and stronger communities. We are AARP.
There's an increasing chance that Arizona could experience an El Nino this year. It's not just an El Nino, but a super El Nino that could make for all sorts of strong weather here and around the country. Joining us now is ASU climatologist Randy Cerveny. Randy, always good to have you here.
Always nice to be here.
And we're always talking something about El Ninos or La Ninas. It sounds like we're not just talking El Nino here. What is a super El Nino?
A super El Nino is an El Nino is when the Pacific Ocean gets warm. And when that happens, it changes the jet stream, it changes the circulation pattern, not around just the United States, but around the entire world. A super El Nino is when the temperatures of the Pacific rise well above what we're expecting. I mean, we're talking about maybe 2 to 3 degrees warmer than it is right now as we go into the summer and fall.
And so that separates it from a garden variety El Nino.
Right. We haven't seen one of these since, probably 2015 was the last one. There was another big one back in 1998.
In 2015, what happened to us back then?
We got some good rains. The 1998 was a much better one.
Yes.
And 1982 was an even better one. But it's not assured. That's the thing, is that normally El Nino brings us rain, but it's not assured.
Well, and I was going to ask you, but first of all, when are El Ninos determined? It seems like half the time we don't even know about it till the fall. We're learning about this thing pretty early.
Right, and that's just because it's building so rapidly. What happens is that it's our wintertime circulation. It's our wintertime jet streams that get really impacted by El Nino. That's why this winter we're even looking at having a fairly decent western snowfall. You know, we had absolutely nothing this year. Next year looks like it's going to be a lot better. But it's even going to have an impact on our monsoon.
Well, I was going to ask about that because if it's developing so early, and I know I ask about the monsoon to you all the time, and you always tell me there's no way to predict these things. Can we predict a little bit that maybe some pushing and shoving with that warm water and the air that comes with it? Maybe.
Well, here's the thing that I'm focusing on. Under El Nino circumstances, normally what happens is that you don't get very many hurricanes along the Atlantic. So they're actually feeling pretty good about this as well. But you get a whole bunch of hurricanes occurring off the coast of Mexico in the Pacific Ocean. Well, when those hurricanes form, they don't usually get to us, but when they form, their moisture, when they die, gets pumped up into Arizona. So if we start seeing a whole bunch of hurricanes down off the coast of Mexico, the chances of us having a better monsoon is going to be much better. We've seen that a couple years ago. We had an early couple hurricanes that formed down off of Mexico and gave us a nice start to a monsoon.
And that's reflective of the fact that it's developing early and it's developing big early.
Right.
And if we have this monsoon and everything kind of comes up, is that going to weaken what happens later in the year, or no?
Not really, because this thing's going to last.
Yeah.
This thing is really, really hot water that's building in the Pacific. So it will probably continue to influence the jet stream even into fall and winter.
Well, with the jet stream dropping so low and we're getting so much rain here, snow in the high country, but how high in the high? Are these going to be warm storms?
Well, that's the big $64,000 question. Yeah, they will probably be warmer storms. I mean, instead of our two favorite words of hot and dry, we're probably going to be looking at hot and humid. So think of maybe this summer being more like Florida than Arizona.
Oh, that's great. Why everything was going so well, Randy, then you throw that in there. Hey, we have some maps that I want to show here. First of all, it's a monthly temperature map. And what is this telling us? What does it mean?
Well, it's already starting to show that the Northwest is going to dry out and moisture will probably start coming into the southwestern part of the country. So you can see that big red splotch that's up over in the Northwest.
Yes.
They're going to have clear skies, not going to have a lot of storms. They're going to get hot.
Seasonal temperature map. Do we have that one? Can we go to that one next here? There it is. Yeah. Kind of the same sort of stuff.
Same thing stays in place during the entire summer. This is July, August, and September, and we're seeing that nicely the really hot air is going to stay north of us.
Yes.
We're still probably going to be warm. We're still going to have 115s, but we're not probably going to be as frequent as we were in the last couple years.
Precipitation map. We have a monthly precipitation map. What's this telling us? You know, we don't live in New Mexico there, but what is it telling us?
Well, it is telling us that there is moisture that's going to be coming up from the Gulf of California and into the Southwest. Now, the models, as you see here, are kind of pushing it more towards New Mexico than us, but it is at least a favorable positioning for us to get some more rain.
And the seasonal precipitation map, I think, is our last one there. Now we're talking here.
Yeah, again, this is monsoon. This is July, August, and September. And what we see is that the Four Corners area is projected to be above normal in terms of precipitation. And frankly, we really need that rain.
So when can we start watching for this Super El Nino to show itself?
Well, probably what's going to happen is that we'll, again, normally have a few dust storms that are going to come in towards the end of June and the first part of July, and then we'll start to shift over into wetter and wetter storms. So I'm anticipating probably a fairly normal to maybe even a little bit early start. We might start seeing dust storms in the last week of June, and then we'll start working into wetter storms.
All right, very good. I know you have a new dust storm ranking out there. We don't have time for that today, but will you come back and talk to us about that?
Oh, absolutely.
Very good. Randy Cerveny, again, ASU climatologist. Always a pleasure.
Thanks.
Well, I think the old expression of walk in somebody's shoes is very apropos. I grew up in the South where I saw signs that said colored for the drinking fountain and the waiting rooms in the train station where it's colored only. I didn't like that. I was in Vero Beach, Florida, and we went to Miami for the weekend, and I saw a sign there that says, for a small hotel, no Jews. I took the sign up and threw it away. I mean, I fought for my country. I felt I was an equal citizen, and everybody who fought for their country should be an equal citizen. And we can make this world a better place if we just try.
I had 5 ancestors.
Several ancestors.
8 patriot ancestors.
I have 34 proven ancestors who fought in the American Revolution.
I would tell them how proud I am of their sacrifice, the fact that they were willing to go out and give up everything and commit treason against the crown for the beliefs of freedom and liberty.
I would ask them what led them to fight or support the cause of freedom in the colonies for American independence.
Thank you for the sacrifices, the lives and fortunes that people lost for our freedoms and to create this country that we are so proud to live in today.
I would reinforce to them how thankful I am every day for their sacrifices and what they did to bring freedom to the United States of America and to found this country with freedom for all and the opportunity for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Many aging Americans are at risk of loneliness and isolation, and veterans can be especially vulnerable. Tonight, as part of our monthly AARP-sponsored segment that highlights issues important to older adults in Arizona, we take a look at research into AI tools that could help fight social isolation. We welcome Ming Zhao from ASU School of Computing and Augmented Intelligence, and Nicole Roberts from ASU School of Social and Behavioral Sciences. Good to have you both here. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Nicole, we'll start with you. So EdgeCare is an acronym. What does it stand for and what does it mean?
Well, it stands for Technology Devices on the Edge that Dr. Zhao can talk about, and it is bringing technology to veterans and older adults to help with social health.
This is new technology, and it's a new way to look at social isolation, correct?
That's right. We now know that social health is central to brain health. They're not separate, and it's very important to find ways that older adults and veterans especially can really connect with their communities.
And connect by way of edge devices. What would qualify as an edge device?
So anything, Alexa devices would be a good example, and Siri devices. Those are devices that the users they interact with, and they're also devices that actually interact with the physical things, such as your cameras, your security cameras, your doorbells. Those are all considered edge devices.
Yeah, so the Ring devices, cell phones, smartwatches, all of that business.
Yes.
And it's all it all goes into like a digital assistant. Is that how that works?
Right. So our goal is to take all the data that are connected by the edge devices, and we use the data to help, and then AI, the power of AI, to help us understand the social health of users and provide recommendations and interventions.
So the AI takes all this information, as AI tends to do. It needs information. It feeds on information. But you give it information. If I'm wearing this and going around the house and everything, it continues to build if someone needs help, if someone doesn't need help, these sorts of things?
Exactly, yes. So one thing that we are currently developing is a social health coach. So AI-driven coach. So based on the data that we can, that the AI can collect from users, it can understand the social health status of the users and provide recommendations. It functions almost like a human coach, but it's completely agentic AI-driven.
Yeah, an assistant and a coach and all of those things. Nicole, this was a grant, right? This is how this development is going under. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, so we had a grant from the National Science Foundation with Dr. Zhao as the PI, and also collaborators David Kuhn in the School of Nursing, the College of Nursing and Health Innovation, Dr. Aaron Chu, who's also in Fulton as a human systems engineer, and so our interdisciplinary team was given a grant through the Smart and Connected Communities program, because again, we're an interdisciplinary team and we work very closely with community partners at the Phoenix VA through the Alzheimer's Association, and we've had a follow-on grant from the National Institutes of Health from their Aim Ahead program in order to conduct this work.
And the presentation to receive the grant, what was emphasized? How was this presented?
So I study emotion. I'm a clinical psychologist by training, and as humans, we're very evolved to recognize others' emotions, other signals, stress, but as humans, we're also good at hiding those signals, and so it can be difficult to know if someone is struggling. And so we talked about the importance of knowing when someone is struggling and perhaps using technology to help detect that and intervene. And so the grant was poised as development of technology from the ground up with our community partners. We conducted focus groups with veterans, with care partners, with healthcare providers to understand what their needs are.
And as we mentioned before, the idea is that if X, Y, and Z happened when this particular person is suffering from A, B, and C, you put it all together and the digital assistant says, that does what? Does it warn the person? How does that work? Can you talk about that?
Yes, so our focus is on social health. So first we need to understand what is the health status of the users, how lonely they feel, or do they experience depression, and based on that understanding, the AI can work with, can explore the options with the users provides suggestions on activities, resources they can use, and also maybe suggest contacting their caregivers and the health providers. And the coach can also proactively involve their caregivers and the health providers.
And caregivers would have access to this information, I would imagine?
If the person chooses for them to have access, it is set up to be a flexible system and to really benefit users' privacy and trust and titrate to the level with which they feel comfortable.
But was there an emphasis on follow-up, as we were talking about here? I mean, it's one thing to say this person is feeling isolated. It's another to say, let's get them to the next spot.
Absolutely. The goal is to connect them with other humans. And there's all sorts of horror stories these days of people becoming over-reliant on technology and on AI coaches. And we definitely want to safeguard that by ensuring that they're even more connected with their family members, community providers, and also to identify resources in the community. And so one advantage of veterans is they really want to help. They want to contribute. We found in our focus groups again and again, they're willing to help others even more than themselves. So that can be leverage to create a stronger community.
Indeed, indeed. Okay, is this a finished product? Is it still in development? What do we got?
It's still in development. Yeah, we are actually at the beginning stage of the new project that Nico just mentioned from NIH. So we are developing an app that we can deploy on user trusted devices to collect data and help us fine-tune the agentic AI. And later we'll be able to use that fine-tuned AI to provide recommendations, the intervention that I mentioned earlier.
Time frame on that? What do you think?
Within the next couple of years, we're looking for participants. We're soon going to be deploying the beta testing of the technology this summer, then continue to build it out over the next couple of years.
Very good, and continued success, and thanks so much for sharing. We appreciate it. Good to have you here.
Thank you.
And that is it for now. I'm Ted Simons. Thank you so much for joining us. You have a great evening.
Coming up tonight at 7. At 8. At 10.